Hello and welcome to the Surveyor Podcast with James Baker and John Lever. Two chartered surveyors embarking upon a social media journey, locked in a virtual room with nothing better to do than to discuss everything surveying. And some things not.
Hi everyone, welcome to Surveyor Podcast. Today we've got Michael Henning with us, International Man of Mystery, otherwise known as one of the top surveyors in the northeast of England. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks very much, gentlemen. Yes, it's a pleasure to be here. And thanks for that fantastic introduction.
That's quite all right. It's been a while since we saw you, and we managed to have a bit of a chat. So it's good to see your face, albeit not
great
face
to see you
to
too as
face.
well. Thank you. It has been far too long.
It has been far too long. So we've got a few questions. We just have a bit of a chat really, and find out about what you've been up to and just how things are impacting you, etc. So. John, do you want me to fire away with the first question?
Yeah, mate, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to sit here and be quiet.
The eye candy. Yes.
Yeah, nothing changes there, does it?
No, that's right.
So, probably helpful for listeners then, Michael, if you want to just introduce who you are, what type of surveyor you are, and then kind of what you get up to, really.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, James. I am, I'm a chartered quantity surveyor. And because of my age, I have become a fellow of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. I, as I say, I qualified as a chartered quantity surveyor. I spend most of my time now doing construction project management. I'm a director of a small firm, as in about 10 surveyors in the northeast of England, working on a wide range of projects, primarily in the northeast. But yeah, and I've been doing it for, sadly, 2021 will be my 45th year.
Oh,
surveying.
no,
Gosh,
surely.
you don't look that
Surely
old, mate.
not.
No,
Not a day
Surely
past
not.
60.
I started when I was 16. So,
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
I
that
thought I was
people
doing
do.
well, clocking up 30 years. So, geez. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Well, that does
Yeah.
make me feel young, Michael.
Yeah, you
Good.
shut
given that-
So yeah.
Given
It
that I
doesn't make me
turned
feel young.
42, I turned 42 last month, so that does make me feel very young. But I would never have had you having worked for that long. That's
So I've been there for
surprising.
3 years when you were born. In that context.
So,
Anyway, shall we just yeah.
Yeah, actually, can I
Thank you very
ask
much.
just a quick question? First question, which is not on any of our questions, though. Did you have your own firm, or is this your own firm, or are you?
This is, I have a co-director. I did have my own firm.
Yeah.
I was a local director in a large national firm of surveyors, and I left to do my own thing on the basis that it was risk-free. If anybody became homeless, it would just be me as a consequence. So I started off on my own, try that for a couple of years. It was successful, and before I had the chance to expand, I was asked if I would consider merging my business with another firm whose director was retiring. So I did exactly that. So it's myself and another guy. So instant resource, and still have my own business. So
No, it's interesting, isn't it? It's just sort of interesting how sort of things grow and develop. And I guess it's probably important for us to say where we met you. I mean, it was under a bridge in. No, where was it? We met you through Matrix, haven't we?
we must have done.
Got to be Matrix and then into governing council as well.
Yeah. Well, in my day, would it have been through? Obviously, my time on Matrix would have been considerably before yours. It was junior organisation when I was on it.
Yeah. It used to be before when I first joined. It was a JO. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
when I started my career, it was the JO, so it's not been Matrix for
it's
that
not
long.
that
Yeah,
long.
that's it, yeah.
Don't go throwing the old card on
Yeah.
us. So I mean, you must have been involved nationally. And you come along to some of the conferences that we used to do.
I did, yes. And there was residential weekends. You were still there when you were there, so I attended a few of those. I mean, my sort of era when I was on junior organisation, Michael Newey was the GO chair, Michael Golden, Paul Newby, that sort of era. So yeah, and then of course once you in the RICS, it's and you put your name forward to get involved. It's pretty much the Hotel California,
No, absolutely, board after board after board.
Exactly, this is it.
You're sitting and not that you're bored, of course. Yeah. So okay, no, that's cool. Cool, thanks. Okay, James, I'm going to hand back to you, mate. I'm talking too much.
Well, nothing new again there, John. So yeah, I can't, I'm trying to think actually, Michael. When would our first governing council meeting together have been?
Heavens above.
Would we-
I remember
It must have been
having
in London.
it must have been. I do remember distinctly you and I having a football conversation on a coach in Paris, but we must have met before then.
It was yeah. I think my first, which John joined at the same time as me. So my first one would have
2015 we
been.
joined, didn't we?
It would have been 2015. It was London in the
Right.
summer, I think it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, we often would talk about football, obviously, Michael.
Yeah, yeah. That was when we couldn't hold them in Great George Street on because it was going through the sort of refurbishment. So it was probably in the Royal Kensington Hotel or something like that, wasn't it?
It was the Royal Kensington Hotel,
Yeah.
yeah, the first one that I attended. Yeah, so going all way back when, 5
Room
years
without any
ago.
windows, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. No windows, but predominantly the meetings were held in rooms with no windows.
Yeah, no witnesses. Yeah,
Yeah.
Just couldn't get away. You couldn't tell when it was dark or light then, could you? So,
No,
just
no.
keep you in there. Yeah, bit like casino, no clocks either. Yeah. So.
So before we say anything we shouldn't say, we'll move on with the second question, Michael.
Yeah.
So why did you choose surveying as a career?
Well, this is. I stayed on for my A levels for about a week, and bear in mind this is 1976. When jobs, I would imagine, were a little easier to get. So I went to my local careers office in Newcastle, and they said, well, what sort of career are you interested in? I said, well, I've got all my science O levels. So literally they took out a little box folder and flipped through the tabs, and they read out a whole load of jobs. And I picked out two. One was a dispensing optician, and the other was a quantity surveyor. So I went for the dispensing optician interview, and they said, we've got people with degrees, applying for this job. Never mind you with your 5 O levels. But then the careers officer just gave me a whole load of bump from the RICS about what everything was. And I turned up at the interview with the most sarcastic surveyor you can meet in, you don't even know what a quantity surveyor is, do you? And I went, well, actually, I do, because I've read all the stuff from the RICS. And he went, well, right, yeah, you've got the job. And that was how I fell into surveying and have never left.
fantastic.
So, yeah.
Cool. So man and boy, really, isn't it?
Yeah, literally. So, yes, the old man and boy now. Yeah, so yeah, and so it's easier to go into sort of as I did. I don't do them so much now because they're like the the Matrix and the sort of younger, more relatable, shall we say, surveyors. Not being ageist, but that's it's probably easier to relate. But it's easy for me to say that literally, and I will say it again. Every day of my career has been different, and there are no 2 days the same. I'm sure you guys find it as well.
Yeah,
It's just a variety, and obviously in quantity surveying, you're going down the route of I effectively build them as opposed to the general practice surveyors who will sell them, and obviously some more successfully than others, fantastically successful. But no, I've enjoyed construction and still do, and that's probably why I gravitated into the project management side rather than the brick counting side, as it goes. So,
yeah, I think if I hadn't set up Deliver, I would have gone down the project management side. I think I kind of got a bit fed up with the whole contractual and counting materials on and off site, etc. Yeah, but naturally, obviously, quantity surveying is the best pathway. I'm with you on that.
I'm outnumbered here, so
yeah, that was the intention.
yeah.
Okay, you're a building surveyor, you're not problem.
Well, I'm a building surveyor, so yeah, I can't count. So,
he still understands what a brick is. He just can't count it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I know what one looks like, and I know what the problems you get with a brick, but I couldn't count them.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did really fall into it then, didn't you? In many respects.
Yeah. And
so when you were younger, did you not have? Was there no? I find this always difficult because I remember being at school myself, and there's pressure. You need to decide what you're going to do with your life. What career you're going to follow. And I was like, I don't know what I wanted. It's like when you're a teenager, you're a spotty kid. You've got no idea what you want to do. Did you have any sort of idea or?
If I did, it was along the medical route. But it was all sort of half-hearted, really. It was because the sort of your career options that were presented to you, were very limited. I can't recall ever as construction or surveying ever being talked about as a career. And there were obviously careers officers in them at school. So And I hadn't actually been to that careers office, which for those of you who know Newcastle City Centre, it was on Rutherford Street, just beside the Newcastle City Hall. And it was only when I thought, okay, I need to think about some career options that I actually went there. And lo and behold, the first thing that I picked was turned out to be a career for life.
It's quite random in a way as well, though, because every career, or I mean, certainly in my kind of starting up in life and then getting involved in schools, you know, with the local communities and stuff when I was working at a surveying practice, no one would ever talk about surveying or even the construction industry, and generally you could see the school going, we've got a little group of non-achievers here, we're going to push those into construction. Because they can push a wheelbarrow, you know, they don't need to talk to anybody or be able to add anything up. As long as they've got 2 hands and, you know, 2 feet, they'll be fine.
Exactly.
And you know, I hope it's better now, but yeah.
It is funny though, isn't it? Because construction tends to have that whole, I guess it's a myth really, but people, when they immediately think of construction, they think of building sites. They don't think of the professional side of things, which is obviously what we do. That nobody ever seems to even give that a second thought. And even, you know, I've spent a lot of time going in schools and talking to, you know, youngsters about careers in surveying and things, but yeah, people don't seem to really acknowledge the fact that there is a professional side to the industry. It's not all, you know, high-vis vests, hard hats, and get your hands dirty.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I suppose that's the most visual aspect that a lot of people see, and maybe it isn't so much a positive experience from it. I think it is changing. It's been very slow in changing. I mean, I remember going into schools to give careers talks, and the teachers were just amazed. Said, "Good heavens, we never realised about, you know, particularly in terms of the RICS and, you know, the broad church that is in terms of an institution that you could never found from scratch today. That has just developed into this, you know, sort of multidisciplinary, you know, professional institution, and it could sometimes be a hard sell because of the diversity of professions available within it. But equally, you know, it is a good sell. I have had people who ended up asking for work experience, students in schools I've been to asking for work experience, but then ending up going into general practice surveying. That probably says a lot about the work experience they're provided, but you know, put them off quantity surveying. But
yeah, go and count that brick. Go and do it again.
Exactly. Not a sell
do it again.
So, yeah.
Cool.
I'll let you pick up the next question, John.
All right then. Yeah. So we always like to ask a would you rather question, actually. So would you rather be a surveyor or a captain of a cruise liner?
Well, if I wasn't a surveyor and had to choose that, I have enjoyed being a surveyor, but I think I would quite like being a captain of a cruise liner. Now, I have never. Well,
have you ever been on a cruise?
Well, I have, but it was when I was at school. And it was on the SS Uganda, which ended up as a hospital ship in the Falklands War. So this is the early 70s, and we went around Madeira and Casablanca with no supervision from teachers whatsoever. This is, you know, so I suppose that in the sense of what a cruise means now, the answer is no. I was supposed to go on one this year, and like a family age cruise, but obviously that didn't happen for various reasons. But no, my father was a merchant seaman.
Right, okay, cool.
So maybe so I've always liked, you know, the sea. You know, I've not been bothered by it. So I think a captain of a cruise line. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you are in a kind of compressed vessel with 4,000 other people, though. I kind of find that's kind of. I think as the captain. Yeah, I think you'd be all right because you probably could keep yourself away, but I suppose you still have to go to functions, don't you?
You do, yeah.
And put the old dicky bow on and everything.
Yeah, but you don't have to actually sail the thing. You just tell other people who you hope.
No, yeah, I'm there. Yeah, it's certainly of your fellowship status. It certainly hits in the right direction. Yeah, no, I can understand that. So okay, that's cool. So a cruise liner. So that's should surveying all go Pete Tong over the next 6 to 8 months, you could diversify into a cruise.
And my fancy dress outfit of choice. Pros and cons of being in the office.
Yeah, there we go. That's them sorted. Yeah. Just won 175 million, by the way, but unfortunately, you didn't pick up the phone. You didn't get it. So
yeah, that's all right. Yeah, don't worry. I recognise the number has been. My fancy dress uniform of choice is the all white officer and a gentleman one as well, which
Very
I think
good.
you can get away with that. So
Very good, very good. Yeah, I
Got the
couldn't.
outfit.
I think mine has to be something like Friar Tuck or Father Christmas. So okay, let's move on. Okay, I'll go for the next one as well, James. So, Michael, what would you tell your 20-year-old self now, based on what you know today?
Well, yes. I think I try and. I know this sounds maybe a little counterintuitive sometimes, but I would probably say try and have a bit more self-confidence in your abilities, and don't overpromise. I think probably the two bits of advice that I would give any young surveyor, really.
Yeah.
So and in terms of that, but yeah, looking back, because obviously the choices you make at the time lead you to where you are now, and if you're happy where you are now, then obviously there aren't too many regrets. But in terms of, I think of times where there have been, shall I say, bumps in the road, then the advice I would have given would have said, listen, just maybe don't overpromise so much. I know that it's nice to tell people what they want to hear, but sometimes you're just making a road for your own back.
Yeah, that might be. I think that's typical across every profession, but probably more so with QSing, isn't it? Mine's pretty similar. It's never tell them the first figure that you thought of. Never tell them the figure it's going to be, because that's the figure they'll always remember.
They'll get asked that.
If you get it wrong, then they'll always remember that. So
exactly, yeah, and maybe having the self-confidence to say no, I'm not telling you that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, and having self-confidence as well, I guess, with the over-promising side of things, is to say no as well. So yeah, sorry, can't help.
I guess they go hand in hand, don't they? I think if you'd have told me at that age, then that would have been a good piece of advice. So I could have probably done with that earlier in my career. Certainly a bit more confidence. I've never been probably never been that bad at over-promising. Kind of, I think if you don't have to do that too many times to over-promise to a client to suddenly realise that actually it never ends well if you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't get taken advantage of sometimes as well. So
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, well, that's
definitely.
it.
I'm going to hand back to you, James. Hand the mantle.
Yeah. So that brings us on nicely, really. So, what advice might you give to someone who's wanting to pursue a career in surveying?
Well, obviously, I think we've already talked about how diverse surveying is. That it's one of those words like love and sustainability means different things to different people, and you can decide what to do. I mean, that goes, I think you've got to be happy in the area that you've taken, because a lot of people would, I think, as you alluded to before, James, may be put off by a negative perception of construction. And I think that's often where work experience comes into it, to say, actually, no, it isn't what you're thinking of, unless that's what you want, in which case, the building site, the front line, at the end of the day, you're in construction to build buildings. So do that. But if you are, would rather be office based, would rather get into, shall we say, the valuation side, the big deals, I'm skating around here without answering the question, really. It's maybe try some work experience. I think that would be it. If it's somebody who is wanting to pursue a career in surveying, I would say try and get yourself some work experience and explore exactly what it's going to be like. Try before you buy.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably good advice, actually. Me and John were having a chat, and I was saying how I went through school, university, without ever doing anything on a construction site or in the construction industry at all. I did GCSEs, A levels, and then I did a degree in building surveying, and then found myself in the world of construction, in the world of surveying, having never been to a construction site other than played on one as a kid, and lived next door to one. So I think gaining some experience and work experience is probably really sound advice, actually, because you'll soon find whether you like it or not.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's. I think that's the good gauge. I think I was just lucky that my experience of the first firm I joined with the sarcastic interviewer, was still a good grounding. So
just on that one as well, though, would you be doing, now you know what you know about quantity surveying and all the other pathways and different types of surveyor you would you be a quantity surveyor still? Because we were chatting about this, and I quite fancy being a either building surveyor or a rural surveyor looking after a rural estate is what I quite would fancy.
I probably not. I would probably still stick with this. And I think I'm trying to remember when I first got into the project management stage of things. I think it's when people realized that that certain branches of the architectural profession, who were always seen as the construction team leader, certainly in my era, they weren't really suited to the the modern way of delivering buildings, or the most efficient way of delivering buildings. So somebody had to step up and take on that role. And I think the quantity surveyor was probably best equipped to do that. So if I would have gone into something else, it probably would have been what most of my closest friends in the surveying profession are doing, apart from your good selves, which is the general practice surveying, the valuation, the commercial, and that's led them into development and things like that as well, and made them more savvy in that regard.
No, interesting.
With I'm still ringing up builders and asking them for programs and why they're behind program and things like that. So,
still doing sort of the core quantity surveying, really, aren't you?
To a degree,
yeah. Cool. All right, James, back to you, mate. Is James still with us? You still with us, mate?
He is,
Yeah, sorry, I had a sound issue.
Did you?
I lost sound. I've got sound.
You zoned out there for a minute. I was just worried all of a sudden that it was getting too much for you.
I was imagining a parallel universe where James is completely different. Yeah,
I was so enthralled with what Michael was saying that I just.
You're good.
Touché.
I had a sound issue, so I'm just reverting to.
It sounded like your voice was sending me to sleep. It says yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You see him drop it off. You know that's what's going on. I was going to edit that out, James, but I'm going to leave that in now because that was a suitable amount of ridiculing that really.
I mean, the wonders of modern technology and all. You'd think we'd be used to it after this year, but apparently not. And being the youngest of the three of us, you'd think I'd know better than the pair of you, but obviously,
certainly not to give us any material, of course, as well.
I'll just grab the low-hanging fruit, I think it is.
Do you want me to carry on, mate, or are you up to it?
It's entirely up to you. I'll let you be the judge of that, John.
I'll go for the next one. I'll let you have the next one after that then. So Michael, next question. I was obviously thinking about surveying careers and everything. What's been a highlight, or if you have a number of highlights, what's been a few?
Probably is. When you ask somebody a question, and often the first thing that pops into your mind is either certain projects or certain things you've achieved within your career. The first thing that popped into my head was chair of the Northeast region, and giving speeches to a room full, or a civic centre banqueting suite full of 600 of my local peers, in the Northeast, and that was quite rewarding, and I didn't get too many things thrown at me, so so that was nice. And then obviously going on to governing council and meeting the diverse range of people. And
cool. Exactly. I was waiting for the you guys, and it never came. So I thought I'd throw it in.
I got involved in the RICS quite early, during the 80s. and then obviously as we've talked about, once you step forward, then you find yourself you are volunteered for most things and asked to get involved in most things, which I personally I've always enjoyed. I really have. I find it very rewarding. In terms of career highlights and projects I've worked on, I project managed a job in Stockholm for a couple of years, and that was really good. It wasn't permanently based on site. I maybe had to go there for 2 or 3 days a month and fly there via a skip, although there were no direct flights from Newcastle. It was a data center, but being constructed inside an existing factory unit.
Oh wow! Okay.
So that was that was a really good one, really interesting experience. Fantastic country to work in, mainly because everybody speaks English, and all of the building contract documentation has an English version of it as well. So everybody was
superb. So it was an existing factory then that they were building a data center inside.
We were indeed, yeah.
Okay, cool. Because they're pretty clean rooms, aren't they, as well? So
they are, but it was effectively a new shell being built inside it, and I still don't understand why. And we were in a bit of a race with a site maybe 2 or 3 miles down the road, and they said whichever one finishes first, IBM will bring their servers in there. So it really was good. And there was I do remember one incident where where I was on site, the guys came up and said, we've hit some rock, which you do in Stockholm all the time. It's it's absolutely, so no problem at all, just get some breakers sorted. No, we've already set the dynamite. And then you hear this muffled explosion in the background. Yes. Well, this rock with dynamite, covered it in mats, and then just set the whole blinking thing off inside an existing building. So
fantastic.
Yeah,
don't worry, we've sorted it out. No problem.
Yeah. Don't you worry yourself.
English. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you just sit back and let us do the real work.
Different work. I asked them one if they'd work a weekend, and I spoke to the director of the firm. I said, would you guys would you mind getting the your workforce over the weekend? He goes, no, we go sailing on the archipelago. Again,
don't be silly.
Different work.
Different attitude completely. I'm sure. So cool.
That was fascinating. Quite Stockholm. And when did you say that was? In the 80s?
No, it wasn't. This was just before the data bubble burst. It was a company called City Reach, and I had been. I did an estimate for one in London beside Heathrow, and that led on to another one in Amsterdam. And then they said, well, you managed the one in Stockholm. And concurrently, there were other ones being built in Dublin and Frankfurt at the same time. And so this was about 2002, 2001, 2002. So, and then the dot-com bubble burst, and, for a little while. They really were ahead of the time, because obviously, data centers now is
massive.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's kind of massive now. Yeah. Massive data centers now. That's the all the with cloud storage and things these days. Yeah. Data centers are the big area of expansion, really. So yeah, very far ahead of the time.
Yeah,
interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, then. So moving on, then. Who've been the most influential people in your career?
Well, there've been 2.
That's very kind.
Yeah, great. Next question. Yes. Am I allowed to name names in terms of
what you like, mate? I don't care.
Yeah. Well, the first one.
I'm sure we'll clear it with them at some point in the future with a lawsuit.
Well, I think. The first one is Les Blenkinsop, who was a partner at Thornton Firkin, as was. And I'd been at the firm I joined in 1976 for 4 years, and I thought I'm probably due a change. So I applied to Thornton Firkin for a job that was way above what I was qualified for. But he gave me an interview and said, "You do know that this job is way beyond your level at the moment." I said, "Yeah, I do, but I thought I'd apply anyway." So and he went, "Yeah, okay, then great," and he hired me. Not for that job, obviously. It was something completely different. and he was a very influential guy. Thornton Firkin were a national firm, but they set up a Newcastle office. It started off as a site office because they were quantity surveyors on what were the big shopping malls, the big shopping centres that were being developed around the country at the time. And Eldon Square in Newcastle was being developed then, and Thornton Firkin did that and decided to maintain it as an office. And he picked up a lot of work and maintained it. And he was very much his own man, very much around the office himself, and he was very influential. And then the second guy happened a bit later on in my career. I was actually an equity partner in a local firm where I worked there for 13 years, and I was a partner for the last 4 years. But one of my suffice to say, I decided that it really wasn't for me. So I resigned as a partner. So just before I get back onto the thick ice before I go too far and mention too many names. So I decided to leave as a partner, and one of my clients was the company who were doing the data centers and things like that. And I said, "Oh, listen, just to let you know, I'm leaving this company. I've resigned as a partner." And the chap there, Peter Candler of River Green, said, "Oh, what are you doing?" I said, "I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I've just decided this is not for me. It is absolutely a horrendous experience, but I'm sure something will turn up." He goes, "Well, you're right. You can come and work for me." So after at that stage, what must have been about 16, 17 years as a PQS, a quantity surveying private practice, I joined a development and construction company. So somebody who not only developed themselves, developed their own buildings, constructed themselves, but then he also operated serviced offices as well.
Oh, okay.
So I had 4 years as commercial director, and that was the most intense and rewarding 4 years I've ever had. It basically made me look at quantity surveying and construction costs and development costs in a completely different way. I think I've been very blinkered beforehand in terms of, oh, well, let's make sure that that we've got the correct lengths of skirtings on this building, because that's critical to the cost of the building, because if we get that wrong, the whole thing could fail, So, but then when you put construction costs in, obviously it's an important factor in the context of everything else and what makes a development tick and what makes it, that was a real item. And that really probably laid the foundation, if that's not stretching analogy too much, in terms of how my future career developed after that, and it certainly was that. So Peter Cantor, who unfortunately isn't very well at the moment, but he was a major influence in my career and gave me a lot of good advice and a really hard time when I needed it as well. So yeah.
It's nice to have those sort of memories of those individuals who kind of were, sort of how you kind of developed, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, cool. Okay. Shall I go for the next one, James?
Yeah, feel free.
It's probably one of the most important questions we actually wanted to ask you. It is the most important question. It's about Kidson.
Yes.
Do you want to explain to everyone who Kidson is? I mean,
well,
he's a star in our eyes.
It is. Well, Kidson is the effectively the cuddly toy, a very small toy of the grandson of a close friend of mine who a class as family. So the father of the child I've known since before they were born as well. And what happened, I think this must have been about 2015 or 16. It was around my birthday in August, and they all came round to my house for a little party. And then the lady in my life, she and I were going off to New York. And as I was, after the family had left to see me off, I realised that they'd left Kidson. So I thought, well, why don't we take Kidson to New York? And then we took a whole load of photos. Here's Kidson doing this, here's Kidson doing that. And of course, you will remember, gentlemen, that we did get Kidson arrested by the NYPD.
Yes.
So then it became a real-time tradition that if anybody went away anywhere, Kidson would go with them. Now, because of the circumstances of me being on governing council, it turned out that Kidson used to come away an awful lot more with me. He's been on national television in terms of Where's Your Bear Been and lots of areas there.
Of course, I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. So, he's been all over.
I remember him pride of place actually in a governing council lineup photograph.
Yes.
I think that was a cracking one. And on a moose's head in
Shanghai,
or was it Shanghai? Was it
Shanghai?
It was Shanghai, wasn't it?
It was Shanghai,
head in the restaurant, wasn't it? Yeah, no, I remember that one as well. So what's he done recently? Because obviously we haven't seen or caught up with him.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't been as well travelled as he was in that core period. He's been to Hong Kong, and that was good. He has been to Mexico.
Oh, okay.
So we're just hoping to get some more trips for him next year. There's some family weddings going on next year, one in Cyprus. There's maybe a cruise next year as well. He's been to Marbella. He went to Nikki Beach Club. And I'll have to say, he's the star of the Nikki Beach Club. He's been back, and of course he did go back to New York when obviously we were in Washington, and I took the train down to New York and had a great time there as well. As a star of the show.
Was that the one where was it that time that you had the photograph with the police with the NYPD?
No, that was the first time when I went there with.
Okay. No, I do remember that picture. That was very good. I mean, we're going to be setting up an Instagram account, so you must send us some pictures of where.
I will do. Well, Kidson does have his own Instagram account, so
does he? Oh, we'll have to follow it then. Oh,
yeah,
we'll definitely
I think it's Kidson. Kidson, it's Kidson with a D because he is a Kath Kidston toy.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
So which you can't get anymore actually. So he must be unique. So
was he originally owned by a small child?
Yes, and I think he still is because I haven't seen him lately.
I was going to say he's no longer a small child though, surely.
No, that small child is now 7. You're right. Yes.
Yeah.
But he has a sister, which I think is why Kidson hasn't been seen lately. In fact, when you kindly invited me onto here and mentioned that the Kidson would be mentioned, I did say, "Where is Kidson?" And I think, "Oh, blimey, we'll have to try and find him. We know he's around somewhere." Then no,
He's in hiding. He's
obviously he's locked down, isn't he? He's in lockdown.
Exactly. Yes.
So yeah, no worries at all. No, that's good. I mean, we always remember Kidson. It was great fun. So
yeah.
Well,
obviously, he is obviously an honorary chartered surveyor.
Indeed,
Is clear. And we're actually just in the process of checking the bylaws to see if he can stand for VP. But with him being honorary, he may not be able to. But because he's strong and silent and very influential, which is a smart, I think it could be.
He's definitely the strong, silent type.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, and I think he knows quite a few contacts. There's quite, we know him.
Yes,
we know him. There's lots of people.
Don't do any harm. Exactly.
No,
well connected for a cuddly toy.
Yeah, no, indeed. No, thanks for that, James. I'm going to let you go.
That's always a highlight. I always enjoyed Kidson on the old trips that we used to have, governing council, attending meetings, etc. Next question then, Michael. What's one thing that you could not do without?
Doesn't need to be surveying related.
It can be anything.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, this is surveying related because I did give this a lot of thought. I mean, obviously, I wondered if you're going down the desert island district where you can take a luxury item as well. And I thought
it had crossed our minds, but we felt that was a bit desert island.
Yeah,
it's a bit old. Youngsters wouldn't know what that is, mate.
Yeah. Right. So I did think about this, and it is incredibly sad. I have
calculator.
No, I have a combined.
Abacus.
I have a combined. Wait for it. Blender / soup maker.
Oh no, I'm there. I'm with you on that one.
And I was thinking about this because I use it every day for my breakfast. So I will blend a banana, some hot milk, some protein powder, some porridge, and some coffee.
Is it one of those funny upside down ones?
Now I've got one of those, but they're a bit small. No, this one, it's basically, imagine a blender, but the bottom is a hot plate. So I don't use it that for breakfast, but if you just put in cooked, it's just raw veg, cooked chicken, bit of stock, press a button, you've got soup in 30 minutes because it's got the hot plate.
I've never come across a blender with a hot plate.
Lakeland, if you're allowed to advertise, that's where you get it from. So I only got the Lakeland one about a year ago because my other one packed up because I do use it every day. And I was thinking how much time that saves me in the morning. So I do have a pretty good, wholesome breakfast with banana and porridge and coffee and everything, but it's all blended into a drink while I'm getting ready.
It's all through a straw. You're just preparing for old age, aren't you?
Kind of. Exactly.
You see, healthy nutritionist and a healthy nutritional breakfast, though, Michael. That's clearly why you're looking so well.
Very, very important.
Is that why?
So are you into your cooking in a big way then, or is it just that's it?
No, but funnily enough, with my social bubble this last week, I did do a bit of cooking and it was rather successful. So I think I could be, and plus I splashed out on some Le Creuset oven to table dishes.
Oh, they're very nice.
Very nice.
So I think I'm gonna have to start using them. So, so no, I have had some homemade soup that I made last night on as well. So that wasn't as a clue, but I just thought, you know what, I use that every day. It's such a fantastic labor-saving device. In terms of, I don't have to worry about what I'm going to have for breakfast today.
Sounds fantastic, mate. Yeah, I think absolutely. I'm going to go and have a look at Lakeland's website and get myself one.
Definitely,
sounds good.
They are about £100, but paid themselves in a week.
Yeah, I think lockdown's kind of conjured up a few different thoughts in people's minds. I mean, I've got into baking in a big way. I bake bread all the time.
So John's going for Bake Off 2021. Then.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, if surveying goes wrong and delivery goes wrong, I've already got it sorted out. It's like the back garden bakery.
Excellent.
I live in a village and we've not got a bakery, so that would be my go-to.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, I mean, in terms of you asking me before how things are going on in the northeast. Artisan bakeries, no matter where they are in Newcastle, from the poshest end to the maybe not so posh end, every time you go past one, there's queues out the door.
Yeah. You see, I go back to my roots. I'm half Swiss, so it's all Swiss bread, which is very nice. Very nice. So, I've got a few friends in the village. Every time I'm baking, go, can we have some? It's like, yeah, all right then. Yeah, I should really charge them for it. So,
yeah, I think you'll find that this is going to be,
Yeah, the way forward. James, do you want to go with our last question then, really?
Yeah, so it would probably be wrong of us, given the year that we've had and the potential year that we're entering in 2021, to not ask you really how things have been in your part of the world, you know, impact of sort of COVID and even Brexit, you know, if there is any impact or what you know, what's happened and what do you see the future?
The impact of COVID has obviously, like everywhere where there's been, we'll call it lockdown and now tier 3 lockdown and obviously tier 4 lockdown, it's hit the hospitality industry really, really hard. And that will be interesting is the wrong word. It'll be a challenge to see how, you know, all that can they recover. Having said that, even though we're tier 3, the centre of Newcastle, for those of you who know it, you know, it's a very tight town centre. It's busy, and certainly in the construction sector, we are busy. We've kept busy. I actually took on a building surveyor from one of the companies during lockdown as well. He'd been put on furlough by his other firm, so we've taken him on because you know, we've kept him busy on a lot of work on that. But equally, we've got an office manager on furlough at the moment. I've got 2 surveyors who are working from home. And a principal designer working from home at the moment. But all of the contractors, the small builders seem to be a lot of busy. I think there's still, you know, the home improvement work going on.
Yeah.
The Northeast has always been a fairly self-reliant area. I think we realised a long time ago that you can't rely on London if their perception of you is that there's very mammoths, you know, wandering the you know, the hills. But it is to a degree its own economy. Obviously, in terms of Brexit, the main worry would be that if Nissan decided that it wasn't worth maintaining a plant in Sunderland, but even the noises even today, they're making a new Qashqai crossover model there, so you know, that's still good. A new battery plant that is going to be as big as Nissan was announced a couple of weeks ago. Our Prime Minister decided to pay a visit up here to announce that you know, fantastic development for the Northeast. So there is an awful lot going on. There's a massive amount needs to be done. It just, unfortunately, it just seems that this is not going to go away in the short term.
No.
The medium term, you know, we'll just have to see how that goes as well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we all own our own businesses. So, I mean, I've got 2 staff, which I furloughed for 5 months full time.
Yeah.
And managed my business 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 35 weeks, you know, and it's just like everyone's out there doing this sort of thing, aren't they? And it's a real challenge. So, yeah, I mean, do you see, I guess the other strange thing about the whole COVID is that everybody's been impacted. Normally when we see a recession or an upset in our industry, it tends to be just our industry. You know, this time it's kind of been everyone, even though, yes, obviously that face-to-face hospitality side of things have absolutely taken a hammering. You know, they in effect are how we would probably normally feel in a recession, aren't they? Whereas everyone else is okay, but you know, we're getting it in the neck. But you know, has that sort of what's your outlook for your business then for the future? I mean, I'm quietly optimistic at the moment. I've seen people go away instantly. I lost a lot of clients in about 3 days. You know, when they all went, no staff, no one, all furloughed, not interested, you know, and it was like, whoa, okay, thanks for that. Right, deep breath. What are we going to do? You know, and without the furlough scheme, I'm not entirely sure we'd still be here. So I think that's worked from the government side of things. But in the future, you know, I mean, future being January, February, March, and then into back end of next year, what do you think how do you feel it's going to go?
The back end of next year is a little bit uncertain, but I would go with the quietly optimistic approach on that. I'm certainly not pessimistic. This is about my own business.
No, I agree.
From my own business, because I know what we've got in the pipeline. I know that we've got good clients who will, who do have a pipeline of work going forward. A lot of it, we've got a good utilities client, we've got a good public sector client, and obviously we're doing a lot of work that is funded by Homes England, potentially in terms of infrastructure work that we're involved in. Homes England, obviously waiting to see whether, you know, obviously the very high profile economic mess that is probably still under the surface at the moment, but is going to have to come up next year. We must just be, there must be nothing left in the coffers.
Well, indeed. I mean, you know, our client is the government at the moment, isn't it? If you look at the furlough scheme and all these sort of things, and something's going to have to give at some point, isn't it? So,
it is, yeah, exactly. I mean, even the Eat Out to Help Out, where it was 50% of your meal was paid for by the government. Who funds the government? You know, so
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't tend to do politics too much. It has to be said. It annoys me, and I get bored of it. But you know, I'm not entirely sure anyone could have done much different to what we've seen or happened. And it is very open, isn't it? What the opportunities in the future will be at the moment.
It is, yeah, it is difficult to see. You know, obviously, a lot of it tends to be media driven to a degree, isn't it? You know, because
I tend to not listen to them too much.
Mutant virus, disaster. You know, so it's a roller coaster. You know, what's going on at the moment. So
yeah, they love to focus on the negatives, don't they? Rather,
they do, exactly.
I mean, we're in tier 4. We're in tier 4 where I am in Bedford, so near Milton Keynes. Yeah. Because of I think Luton down the road is erupting at the moment. So so we're in tier 4. What are you at the moment, James? Are you 3? Or?
We're tier 3. Yeah, we never really. I mean, we had the tier 4 lockdown in.
Well, tier 4's lockdown, isn't it? I mean,
we had the tier 4 lockdown in November, and then we entered tier 3. You know, early December, from the 2nd of December or whatever it was, and they changed things. And I mean, it's not really changed an awful lot. You know, you continue working because you've got to work, and I work from home, so it doesn't really impact me in that respect. Although obviously I was employed earlier in the year and was working from an office, and my time was split really. We exited the office for a good period and then went back working again. But I personally, it's not a huge change for me. Tier 3, tier 4 probably won't do. I'm doing a lot of work in education at the moment, so that money's kind of there. It's secured for projects and things. So pipeline wise, I'm, you know, it's looking quite good for me. And then I'm also picking up some residential work. So there's kind of work out there at the moment, which, you know, I'd share both of your optimistic view really. Certainly the next 6 months look pretty good for me.
Well, of course, James, because you took the plunge and set up on your own, didn't you? During
I did, in October, So so some might call me foolish, and some, but you know, when sometimes you just got to do it, haven't you? And it's been a huge positive so far, and I'm enjoying it, and you know, both the challenge and the, you know, the well, just the challenge really. It's there's a lot of stuff that you can be senior in many practices in your career, and until you start your own business, there's a lot of stuff that you actually realize you don't know. But then you learn fast.
Learning fast is very important. You've
got no choice, so you do learn fast. But it's been great. I mean, it's been a good. And so I've done really the last quarter of this year, self-employed, and it's been great fun. You know, I've enjoyed it, and looking forward to 2021 really. But I was just thinking, Michael, you said earlier you were in the office. So are you in an actual office, or is it a home office that you...
No, I'm in my actual office. I did actually put my thank you for being on governing council certificate.
Very good.
I've got one of those on my wall in my office as well.
I haven't yet, because I haven't got an office, because I gave my office back in October, and I'm putting a log cabin in the garden in February.
Yeah, right.
So it's going to be quite interesting. So I was going to say to you, Michael, what's changed? How has business changed then? What procedures, processes have you actually changed to deal with lockdown? And is that going to change your business forever, do you think?
Interesting. So we had the first lockdown on the 24th of March, and that ended around the end of July, didn't it? Yeah. So when we reopened the office and took people off furlough on, I think it was about the 2nd of August, we said to people, listen, if you don't feel comfortable coming back into the office, you can still work from home. And in fact, a few of the staff said, do you mind if we work from home a couple of days a week? Just because, you know. And what happened all through August, September, October, until we went into the second lockdown, we had a full complement of staff in every single day of the week. You know, none of them took the work from home option. When we went into lockdown, and now tier 3, the office manager we put on furlough purely because there was nothing for her to do. She could work from home, so under the new flexible furlough that wasn't available in the first one, she can't say, okay, I'm going to work 2 days this week and something like that, and we just have accountants of that.
Yeah.
Because as I say, we've only got 10 employees, we're fairly nimble. But the other staff, I found that some of the surveyors have decided that they still want to work. They are still working from home this time around since November. Whereas myself and my co-director worked in the office on his own all the way March through July. I think purely because he isn't geared up to work at home. Whereas I've got a really good home office. But now that I've come into the office, I like the discipline. I like the getting up and doing that. And not that I couldn't go back to doing it again if necessary, but I don't know. I like the discipline of coming into the office. And working and
yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because from my business perspective, we've spun everything online. Yeah. So we're not looking to go back out unless really asked to by clients, and then we will take a what you would never have even considered before, a risk assessment of whether we want to do it or not. So no, it's quite interesting. Yeah, interesting times, isn't it? Interesting. Cool. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well,
it's been great chatting, Michael.
Yeah, it has, and thanks, guys. So
it's been good.
Yeah, you've got to edit this down to 10 minutes for your podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we can take every other word out, or it's just going to be me and James asking questions, and you just sitting there mute. So that's all it will be. You're only really here for padding in case we need it, So.
We cancel again. Yes.
But no, I really appreciate it, and you're more than welcome back anytime. Of course, if anything exciting is happening, even if it's just a little 5-minute, hey guys, let me tell you about this, because we're all about trying to find some interesting sort of news line stories, things that are going on in the industry. We've got lots of topics that we're thinking of, and we'll be kind of putting that all out there in little snippets, going, this is what we're going to talk about. And see where we get to. But no,
I'm definitely going to subscribe to this podcast.
Yeah, no, we'll tell you about it. We'll be disappointed if you didn't. And naturally, just subscribe. You don't need to listen to any of it, but as long as you subscribe, that's fine.
And like, yes.
Cool. All right, mate. Well, thanks ever so much, and lovely talking. And stay safe, and we'll catch up with you soon.
And you too, gentlemen.
Hello there, and thank you for joining us for our latest episode of the Surveyor Podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed making it. Don't forget to subscribe at all your favourite podcast providers, Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio and so on. Also on Twitter and Instagram at SurvPod, that's SURVPOD. You can also get us on YouTube, click the subscribe button, and don't forget to click the little bell, it tells you when we post our latest content, and on our webpage, survepod.com. Don't forget to leave us your reviews, comments, suggestions, and of course, any questions. And finally, if you want to come along, join us at a future episode of the Surveyor Podcast, send us an email to survepod@gmail.com. If you like what you see and hear, tell your friends, let's put surveying on the map. Stay safe, wash your hands, and don't lick any strangers. Bye-bye for now. The Surveyor Podcast is a copyright Deliver and Invise Limited production. We suggest you come up with your own ideas and not copy ours. Thank you. Catch you again soon. Bye-bye.